David Letterman is one of the all-time great talk show hosts. If all we had to judge him on was his on-screen persona, we'd likely consider him to be an all-around swell fella. He could be cordial, funny, and even a bit sarcastic, but we never got the impression he was a bad person. But unfortunately, the Letterman we spent over 3 decades inviting into our homes may not be the likable personality we thought he was. If we are to take some of the reports of some who know him personally seriously, then David is hardly the barrel of laughs he presented himself as. Join us as we dissect some startling new revelations that paint David Letterman's off-air personality in a whole new light. A recent biography calls into question Letterman's character. Jason Zinnemann's 2017 biography of the late-night talk show host Letterman, the last giant of late night, portrays him as far more self-loathing than we suspected. Zinnemann paints a picture of David as an often miserable man who inflicted great pain on his staff. Reportedly, Letterman's demeanor took a turn for the worse after July of 1995 when his program, which for years ranked as #1 in its time slot, dipped into second place behind Jay Leno's The Tonight Show. Viewers tuned in to the NBC program when Leno managed to secure an interview with Hugh Grant following his arrest for soliciting a sex worker. Following that landmark event, many viewers simply never returned to what they saw as Letterman's acerbic on-air persona. As time went on, he went from being warm and inviting, albeit always a bit sardonic, to increasingly caustic as his comedy took a somewhat sadistic turn. On one evening in particular, in 1995, after The Late Show trailed behind both The Tonight Show and Nightline, his rage became readily apparent to all who were watching. A comedy routine that involved a life-size doll of himself sat in Letterman's guest seat. Seemingly spontaneously, Letterman punched the doll. The audience ate it up, and laughter filled the studio. The laughs didn't stop as he struck the doll a few more times. Then the audience, all 580 of them, fell into an uncomfortable silence as Letterman went into a full-on rage fit as he repeatedly punched and slapped his plastic facsimile. It was clear something was wrong with Dave that night. In a private yet candid conversation with Letterman, Rob Burnett, the head of Worldwide Pants and one of Dave's most trusted allies, told him people simply didn't understand why he was behaving the way he was. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to Facts First if you haven't already, and stick around for a lot more about David Letterman's off-air personality. Letterman's wrath wasn't all directed towards himself. He became increasingly livid with just about everyone else he came in contact with, especially his staff. Burnett remained as executive producer, but following Letterman's antics, their relationship had become somewhat strained. And although historically he could manage his boss's strange and often abrasive mood swings, all of that came to an end when the two had a falling out. They eventually got to the point where they were barely speaking to one another. A longtime staffer disclosed that at that point, everything changed. He revealed to Zinnemann there comes a time when working for Letterman, no matter who you are, he turns on you. It's almost expected. For example, a man named Tim Long, who worked as a head writer for Letterman's show, grew so upset and frustrated by Dave's constant put-downs and mood swings, he began chewing on soda cans and swallowing little bits of aluminum. Then there was the time the typically chill Paul Shaffer snapped at Letterman one night when Todd Rundgren sat in and played with the house band. Letterman kept trying to push Rundgren to do more than the single number they had done in rehearsal. He seemed like he wouldn't be satisfied until Rundgren relented. Shaffer got so upset he yelled at his boss in a pretty dramatic and explosive way. He became so embarrassed, however, that the moment had to be cut from the show before it even aired, though Dave said he was okay with it airing. Letterman was a miserable man even when he was #1. The ironic part about all this was that Letterman was still unsatisfied even when his ratings put him at #1 with late-night audiences. In 1993, he decided to part ways with NBC after the network chose Jay Leno to succeed Johnny Carson on The Tonight Show. That's when he hopped to CBS for his Late Show with David Letterman program, filling the same 11:30 time slot. At the time, CBS offered Letterman an unprecedented $16 million annual salary. That deal was pretty much a no-brainer for Letterman, who crushed the ratings of the once unbeatable Tonight Show. Even so, Letterman remained bitter and impossible to please. One producer told Zinnemann that Letterman complained even from the beginning, and that from there, things continued to snowball downhill. According to Paul Shaffer, things only got worse when he made the leap to CBS. He further expressed that Dave would find fault with just about anything, regardless of how minor the perceived flaw in question was. Rich Hall, one of the writers on Letterman's NBC show, was disgusted by Dave's demeanor when he appeared as a guest on his new program. Hall had just followed actress Andie MacDowell after she had messed up her segment. In between segments, Letterman evidently leaned into Hall and called MacDowell a few choice words. Connie Chung says David is a very different man off air. Veteran newscaster Connie Chung has worked at the majority of the major networks throughout her career. In 2020, she made an appearance on LA Magazine's podcast The Originals. In the interview, she divulged that Letterman and her at one point shared mutual feelings for one another. But according to her, she only shared those feelings when it came to his humorous and charming on-air personality. She went on to explain that when the cameras aren't rolling, he's a very different sort of man. Dark and unhappy. Chung's husband since 1984, Maury Povich, says he's well aware of Letterman's feelings for his wife. He even claims Letterman purposely mispronounces his name out of spite for the fact that he married Chung. Dave admits he's difficult to work with. When making a rare appearance on network television, appearing on Ellen DeGeneres' talk show in 2019, Letterman said he stayed on the air so long because no one had the guts to fire him. He further expressed he felt like he had stayed on television for about a decade longer than he should have. The now 74-year-old, who these days sports a big bushy beard, an apparent symbol of his retirement, warned Ellen she needs to make sure to save enough energy and time for other things in life, something he never did while he was on the air. Letterman admitted that for years he felt like he was looking through the wrong end of the telescope, as he put it, adding there's far more to life than quizzing guests about their pets and careers. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you believe these fairly damning opinions of David Letterman? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Facts Verse if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.